Alright, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Mamsicus Gaming, and with weekend 1 of the beta over, Infinity Ward responded to all the Modern Warfare 2 feedback, and let's just say they're not exactly listening to the community. If you guys are excited for weekend 2 of the beta, make sure to see for the like button, 15 Call of Duty, make sure to subscribe, 10 on notification bell and join notification squad. Without further ado, let's go around to it. Infinity Ward ended up posting a new community update which ended up responding to all the feedback from the weekend 1 of the Modern Warfare 2 beta. They start off by saying it was amazing to see so many of you playing weekend 1 of Modern Warfare 2 beta, and we are looking forward for weekend 2. Then they go and say there has been a fantastic amount of feedback on Reddit and social media, as well as a ton of stats collected on our side. For weekend 2, expect new maps and mods, as well as some new changes that they will be trying. Then they go and say throughout weekend 1 we played the game, watched the game being played, read your feedback and talked to many of you at a high level. Leading into weekend 2 we fixed various crashes, addressed a few gameplay exploits, patched some map geo and line issues, and finally updated progression for some gunsmith related bugs. Okay, so far so good. Everything they've talked about is absolutely amazing. They go and say here are some of the things we have heard from you. Minimap dot rules. Oh yes, let's go. They're bringing back the classic minimap, right? Currently in the Modern Warfare 2 beta we only show enemy player dots when a UAV is active. Okay. The design reason for this is that we do not want to punish players for finding their weapons. Wait, what? We also want players to actively search out the origin of a gunshot versus just traveling directly to where the dot is on the minimap. We continue to gather feedback on how the game is playing in regards to this topic. Oh no, what the crap did I just read? I think this is the worst paragraph I've ever read in my life. Listen to this. The design reason for this is that we do not want to punish players for finding their weapons. What? What does that even mean? Just let this sink in. We do not want to punish players for finding their weapons. It's not like you have about 50 billion suppressors that we can use on each and every single weapon in the game. Now correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the aim of suppressors in the Call of Duty games is to keep you off the minimap when you are finding your weapon. So what on earth are the suppressors for if you don't want to punish players and you want to remove the classic minimap? Where is the logic in this? What? In this short paragraph, they pretty much made all the suppressors in the game useless, because whether you use a suppressor or not, you will have the same advantages of not showing up in the minimap. So why on earth would I waste an attachment spot on a suppressor when I will know it does the same thing if I use it or not, and simply I will use a different attachment because there's no point in using suppressors. And if that is the case, they don't want to punish players for finding their weapons, okay, remove the suppressors from the game and decrease the weapon levels. There is no point in having 70 plus weapon levels, and 40 out of the 70 levels will actually unlock you a suppressor. Decrease the weapon level and remove all suppressors. There is no point for suppressors to be in the game if you do not want to bring back the classic minimap because you don't want to punish players for finding their weapon. The worst part in all of this is the fact that Infinity Ward said play the beta, give us feedback, and we will actually listen to the community this time. Well, the community want the classic minimap back. If you guys have seen Modern Warzone polls about having the classic minimap returning, I mean even I created a poll asking the same question, do you guys want to see the classic minimap return? And the results are absolutely overwhelming. It's not 50-50, it's not 45-55, it's not even 70-30, no, it's all 80-20, 85-15 and 90-10, all in favor of the classic minimap returning. And yet, does Infinity Ward listen? No. Do they care? Absolutely not. They're pretty much in this short paragraph they said, this is how it's gonna be, classic minimap is not returning for our game, we want it to be more tactical, that's it, we really don't care about what the community wants, this is how it is now and this is how it's going to be going forward. And quite frankly, that is very disappointing. Anyways, we move on to target tracking. They say we've seen feedback that it is hard to track targets once you get into a firefight. We agree this is an issue and we have changes coming to reduce muzzle smoke opacity and to increase the visibility of the muzzle flash to help engage someone who is firing at you. Okay, this is definitely a good change if you played the beta in weekend 1, and you're also seeing in this gameplay right here, the muzzle smoke and flash were absolutely ridiculous. At points you couldn't even see anything, so that is definitely a good change. They go and say we are also investigating more ways to visually differentiate enemies and friendlies outside of the standard nameplates above the heads of the opposing players. We will be trying a few changes in weekend 2, more on that later this week. Okay, definitely this one needs changing as well. Again, if you guys are seeing the gameplay in front of you right now, there is no nameplates or red dot or nothing above the enemy player. So I'm not exactly sure why they're saying they will be looking for different ways. I mean, how about you actually fix the first way, the standard way of nameplates appearing on the heads of enemies first, instead of looking for different ways to do that. I mean, during the beta it was actually getting quite difficult. You would lose track of your opponent. Sometimes you would aim directly at him, but because there was no red dot or name above the player, it was getting quite difficult to tell if that's an enemy or not. So hopefully that is also being fixed for weekend 2 of the beta. Next up we have the user interface or the UI. We've seen the feedback around difficulty editing perk packages challenges, managing loadouts and accessing the armory. We have identified some UX issues as well as some bugs. These are things that we won't be able to adjust in time for weekend 2 of the beta, but they are top of mind ahead of launch. Yes, this is definitely something that needs to be changed. The user interface for perk packaging, managing loadouts and accessing the armor is absolutely ridiculous and just confusing. You have to press about 50 buttons just to get to the gunsmith, and then you have to press another 50 buttons, and then you have to navigate your way through the perks. It is absolutely ridiculous. They have complicated it for no reason. They should have just kept it as simple as it was, but at least they're looking into it and they're looking to change it ahead of launch, which is a very good thing. Next up we have the perks, and they say we've seen varied feedback on the perk package system. Some players love it and others feel it is an unnecessary departure from the original system. This is another case of fixing something that really didn't need to be fixed. They say we feel it's a nice shake up to how perks work and to the general progression of a match. We've also balanced the ultimate perks to be more powerful as you earn them later in the match. We'll continue testing throughout beta weekend 2, including drastically accelerating the earn rate of these to see how players react. Our goal remains improving the flow of all perks ahead of launch. So in case you didn't know, the way perk packages work in Modern Warfare 2 is you have your first 2 base perks, and these will be active from the beginning of the match all the way until the end. Then you have your bonus perk or your third perk, which will activate during the 4th minute mark of the match, and then you have your ultimate perk, which will activate during the 8th minute of the match. Now let's be honest, there is just not enough time for the ultimate perk to be active. If you're playing team deathmatch, the time limit is only 10 minutes, which means you only have 2 minutes to use the ultimate perk, and that's just not enough time. If you're playing hardpoint or domination, you do have a bit more time, but still it's just not very good if I say so myself. Now they did mention that they are looking to drastically accelerate the earn rate of these perks, and that is good. What I would say is, instead of activating the 2 perks, the bonus and the ultimate perk, at the 4th and 8th minute mark respectively, they should change it to maybe 2 minutes and then 4 minutes, or maybe even 3 minutes and then 6 minutes. Then you at least have some time to use the ultimate perk, because the way it is right now, not only you won't have enough time to use your ultimate perk, but also if you joined a match in progress, forget about unlocking the ultimate perk, you won't even have time. The only way you can earn it is if you start from the very first second of the match all the way until the end. That is the only way to actually earn and use the ultimate perk. They also mentioned Dead Silence, and they say Dead Silence is another hot topic, as many players have expressed that they would like to see it as a perk instead of a field upgrade. We believe it is important to game health that rushers are not able to move at high speeds without consequences. Dead Silence as a field upgrade creates a balance between freedom of movement and predictability of combat. Okay, so they are trying to tell us that they want to punish rushers, but yet again they do not want to punish people who fire their weapons. What even is this logic anymore? What? They actually want to punish rushers, the people who actually move throughout the map looking for gunfights and actually enjoy the game, but yet again they do not want to bring back the classic minimap because they'll be punishing the people who fire their weapons. At this point, this is actually just sad. Next up we have Footsteps, and they say footstep audio in week 1 of the multiplayer beta was very high, giving players long distance directional information about enemies. For weekend 2 we have some changes coming in. This one's another thing that I actually agree with. The footsteps audio are a bit too high. If I say so myself, it was actually quite OP, so I am very happy that they'll be looking into that. A very good change if I say so myself. And finally they talk about slides. They say sentiment around the removal of slide cancelling remain positive. We are aware of the workaround and are contemplating how to handle it for weekend 2 of the beta. Additionally, we have some other slight changes for launch, which will make the movement feel a bit more fluid and snappy. Okay, if I say so myself, I'm actually excited for some of the changes for weekend 2 of the beta. Of course, forget about classic minimap, that's not coming, but of course we'll just have to wait and see what they do for weekend 2 and of course at launch. Weekend 2, which is the crossplay beta, which will be available on all platforms, Xbox, PlayStation and PC. The early access will start on September 22nd at 10 AM Pacific time, so make sure you are ready for that. But with all that being said, thank you guys for watching this video. If you are excited for weekend 2 of the beta, make sure to see for the like button. For everything Call of Duty, make sure to subscribe, turn on notification bell and join notification squad, and I'll catch you guys later.